Hello, everyone. Andrew Eisen here for another episode of Q and Andrew, where you ask me a question and I answer it, and we all try to figure out who cares what I think. Today's question comes from Trevor Teagues, who asks me, "What is your favorite video game boss battle, and why?" Excellent question. Now, a couple of years ago, I believe in the inaugural episode of Q and Andrew, I was asked, what is my favorite video game? And I'll put a link to that video at the end of this one. But my answer was Dragon Warrior 4, otherwise known in Japan as Dragon Quest 4, but it was localized as Dragon Warrior here. Now, you immediately might think, well, since that's your favorite game, is that going to have your favorite boss battle? I mean, that's kind of obvious, isn't it? Yes. Yes, it is. And so, Dragon Warrior 4 does have what I consider to be my favorite boss battle. Not necessarily the best boss battle ever, just my favorite, the one I really look back on fondly. So, the main boss of the game is a dude named Necrosaro, and that's probably just what the name is in the English version of the game. I don't know what it is in the original version. But I'm going to try and talk about this character a little bit. Keep in mind that I haven't played this game for 25 years. So, my memory is a little shaky on some of the finer details. But if I remember correctly, Necrosaro was a guy who really did not like human beings, like, at all, and thought humans were terrible and wanted to exterminate all of them. But he was pretty cool with monsters and demons and such. And he had a girlfriend named Rosie or Rosa or Rose or something like that, an elven woman who cried tears of rubies. And he loved her. And she was about the only thing that kept his genocidal tendencies in check. But one day, bad guys started beating up Rosa to make her cry ruby tears and, sell them because ruby tears. And he got really angry and killed them all. And Rosa, in her dying breath, says, "Don't take it out on the humans." Wah! And she dies. And Necrosaro proceeds to do exactly that and lose all faith in humanity and want to destroy all humans. Which I think he does by, resurrecting S-Turk, the grand ultimate evil demon dude. So it's up to you as your band of heroes to go defeat the reincarnation of S-Turk, the evil demon dude, which you do. So Necrosaro's like, well, poo, and has like a evolution stone or something like that. He's like, I'm going to evolve into a demon and kill you all. So you have to defeat a bunch of his minions and go through a palace, and you finally get to him. And he's not looking very Necrosaro-y anymore. He's looking kind of S-Turkey now. S-Turkey. So you get in a fight, and he's kind of a big demon knight-looking guy. And he's like, ah! And I punch you with the left, and I punch you with the right. And it's a fine boss battle. He has 2 attacks per turn, one in each arm. And so you start beating on him, and one of his arms disappears. And suddenly he's only got 1 attack, because he's only got 1 arm. Which was kind of interesting, because his arm just kind of fades away like you cut it clean off. And throughout this is Dragon Quest, or Dragon Warrior 4, keep in mind, throughout the entire series, battles were really just still pictures. You're fighting a slime or a skeleton, and it would have a picture of a slime or a skeleton. And it had no animation. It didn't change. It would flash when you hit it, or if it cast a spell or something like that. But when you defeat it, it just kind of faded into nothing. There were. Remember, this is Dragon Warrior 4. I think was 90, but this was really old, so they didn't have any animation. So it was kind of neat to see the actual character lose an arm, because it was the first time in the series we'd ever seen anything like that. And it was cool that you knock off an arm and he loses an attack. Well, then you knock off a second arm, and he has no physical attacks. So so he starts attacking with spells, and I wrote some stuff down here because I'm trying to remember things. He starts casting sleep on the entire party, and he has some big all-party attacks like fireballs and blizzards and things, and he casts buff, and he also has whack, which is the certain percentage chance to outright kill you. So it's like, oh crap, things got real. See, you've got this demon with no arms fighting you, casting spells at you. Well, then he loses his head, and he has no attack, so you get to free turn to wail on him. And then suddenly, it gets a message. It's like Necrosaro's belly writhes grotesquely, and a face starts to appear in its belly, and it grows ears, and it turns green, and oh my gosh, we actually have animation in a boss battle. I mean, it's really crude. It's really simple, but we'd never seen anything like that before. It's like, oh my god, he's like morphing into a new little gremlin dude. It's so cool. And so he has 2 attacks again, but he has a spell where he eliminates all your buffs. He can heal now. He has all party attacks, one of which is not magic, so you can't defend against it with like bounce or something. And then he morphs again and grows arms, and it's actually, again, it's really simple, but it's animated, and he gets arms and he starts punching you with them. And he can still debuff, and he can still most of his all-party attacks are like belching hot gas and things like that. So again, you can't use bounce to defend against it. And then he grows new legs, which ups, and suddenly his attacks are harder, and you're not doing as much damage because his attack and defense just went up. And then he grows a new head, and he's got 3 eyes, and horns start sprouting off of him, and he casts bounce. So any spell you cast at him just bounces right back at you. So don't cast attack spells or you'll punch yourself in the face. He debuffs. He has all kinds of all-party attacks, most of which are the hot breath or gaseous breath type, so you can't bounce them back. Oh man, for 1990, this was unlike anything I'd ever seen. I mean, you had a multi-stage boss battle with animation, where he is constantly evolving new forms, which was into the character because he had that evolving stone thing, and every time he changed, you had to change. It switched up the types of attacks he could do, and you had to change your strategies on the fly. So. Whew. Necrosaro, Dragon Warrior 4. Yeah, that's my favorite boss fight of all time. At the time, just so unique, so imaginative, so much that we just hadn't seen before. It was a ton of fun. I remember playing this with my mom, and every time he would grow a new arm or sprout a head or turn colors, we would die laughing because it was just the coolest thing. In fact, I don't replay games very often because there's just so many out there to play. Why waste time playing a game you've already played before when you can play something new? But Dragon Warrior 4 is something that I remember a year or so later going back and playing the Necrosaro, at the end of the game, the Necrosaro boss battle again, just to do it again because it was so unique and so fun. So, yeah, Necrosaro from Dragon Warrior 4. That's my favorite boss battle. So, thank you, Trevor, for the excellent question. And if any of you have a question you'd like to see me answer on a future episode of Q and Andrew, Feel free to leave it in the comments or tweet it at me at Andrew Eisen, and maybe I'll answer it on an upcoming episode. See you then, folks. Bye-bye.